LIEnette and Crook are headed back to court again, in Ohio, in Florida, and in the federal courts. LIEnette and Crook are going to have to appear in Ohio court again for contempt of court. If you recall, they showed up at a town hall meeting and they stayed there for over an hour and a half, breaking the civil protection orders that we have against both of them. Now, Levy County Sheriff have done very, very little. As a matter of fact, they have disregarded anything that has come out of Ohio, and everything is now being pushed over to another district in Ocala because of Amanda Martin, because of Rat Cunningham, her son, and all that's transpired with them. If we take a peek right here, we can see the next thing that's going to happen. Jeremy Hale's petitioner, LIEnette Preston, responded on July 19th, 2024 at 9 a.m. And this is all about contempt of court. Now, the biggest thing here is this is for, let's see, where's the name? Oh, right there, LIEnette. And then this one is for Crook right there. Now, the biggest thing here is we did request that the judge require them to attend in person. Now, that request wasn't honored, and that's disappointing. But at the same time, the judge is not going to be happy that here we are in court again, over an hour and a half breaking the civil protection order. And what does that say about Florida's Sheriff Department, Levy County, who is again I just can't even begin to imagine the amount of liability they've caused themselves by not doing their job appropriately. And speaking of individuals not doing their job appropriately, now the information being leaked is LIEnette is being represented by lawyers across the nation. Ah, yes. We've got a lawyer in another state up north that is in current trouble with the bar. Oh, not only that, we have another lawyer up north. By the way, neither of these can practice in Florida or in the federal case or in Ohio, who's already been in trouble with the bar. This lawyer likes to refer to himself as the God of Law. And yet, the Tri-County hearing panel number 11 found this individual guilty of the following misconduct: negligently handling his attorney trust account, failed to safeguard client property, wrote at least one check on insufficient funds account, violated or attempted to violate rules of conduct, knowingly assisting and induced others to do so or did so through the acts of another. And these are the individuals that are going to represent LIEnette and Crook? Yes, please. You think that's crazy? Don the Con has been calling my lawyer because he wants to give information and testify against her. You want proof? This screenshot was sent to me by my lawyer. Let's take a look here. Name, Don Severino. Number 325. We went ahead and redacted. Call summary, call for Eternal Randall Shockett. Now, that is my attorney. And reason for call, wants to speak with Attorney Shockett. Email address. Well, we already know that email address from the 6,000 emails from Town Hall. That's Rosemary's email right there. Urgent. It's time sensitive. Okay. He's wanting to drive to the office. Please call back right here as well.
So I noticed it said no transfer attempted. So he didn't want to leave a voicemail, but he's willing to drive to the office.
Yes, willing to drive to the office to tattle, to testify against LIEnette. Now, this is the incredible part of this. I've said this so many times. Birds of a feather flock together. You've got insane individuals, okay? Something is off about these people, LIEnette and Crook. Now you've got Don the Con, who is in LIEnette's camp, rallying her and championing her on. But now he wants to testify against her. You also have individuals who are not okay in the head claiming they're now part of her legal team, which they legally can't even be a part of. And they've gotten themselves in so much trouble as it is already. Now, who's next to turn on her? We know her and Shard have gone head to head quite a few times. Well, there are others who have been turning on her as well. And as much as Silver Scam has told her, stop talking, She hasn't. As a matter of fact, we have screenshots of every single conversation, incriminating conversations she's continued to have during all these court hearings. And one of them we're going to show just a snippet of it because it's extremely important into, George is going to talk a little bit more about that.
Back on May 30th, Deanna and I delivered equipment to Tubetown, where Mayor Travis was.
Tubetown, baby!
We also delivered supplies. And as we've stated before, we film for our own protection, especially driving past their property, which their property is across the street from our 70 acres. Not only do we film for our own protection, but maybe to alleviate the dumb things that they do on camera, because as soon as the camera goes up, people tend to hide or act a certain way. But nope, she went ahead and violated the Ohio Civil Protection Order again by making communication with me. So
wait, hold a second. How did she communicate with you?
She rolled down her window.
Okay, that's a very important part of this.
This is a very important part. She rolled down her window, communicated with me by saying "so afraid." Had she just kept her window rolled up and drove off, it wouldn't have been a violation. But the moment she rolled down her window and communicated with me, that's what violated the protection order. She could roll down her window and say hello to me, and that would be violating the protection order. No contact means no contact. She cannot speak to me, and she has to stay away from me. And so when I called Levy County Sheriff's, because there's a conflict of interest with Amanda Martin, all of our calls have to be submitted to, all of our complaints have to go to a supervisor. So I was transferred to Lieutenant Anderson, and I had to leave a message. I didn't hear from him. Over a week later, I called back to follow up, left another message for him, no call back. So then I speak to the lead detective, and then got assigned to a Sergeant Dean so that we can get it on record. And the whole point of being transferred to him is to get a case record started and to take the video evidence and provide it to Lieutenant Anderson so that he could do the report and investigate. But instead, this Sergeant Dean took it upon himself to complete the narrative and the incident report. And his report is not impartial at all. And he obviously didn't watch the same videos we watched. He forgot to include that I had two witnesses there that audibly heard her communicating with me.
Let's hear the report.
And so
then
the report says, on the above date and time, I made contact with myself via phone in reference to the following incident. I stated that on May 30th at 2:15, LIEnette Preston drove by her residence and yelled, "So afraid," out of the window. And then I stated that she captured the incident on her report, or on my cell phone, which I did. And again, we record for our protection. And it says there is a protection order in place out of Ohio, and George was wanting to report a violation of that order. I then responded to, and then he has the address of where the ranch is, obtaining a copy of the video. The video appears to show George standing on the edge of her property videoing LIEnette's driveway as LIEnette is leaving her residence. Again, that's where Tubetown is and where we were delivering equipment and supplies to Mayor Travis. LIEnette pulls out to the roadway in her vehicle, stops at the road, rolls down her window, and then drives off. You can faintly hear LIEnette say something as she is leaving. The charge of violating the protection order is unfounded at this time. What Sergeant Dean doesn't realize is no contact means no contact. The Ohio judge found them guilty of when John communicated with me and said, "Stop filming me," and when John communicated with Jeremy by saying, "Suck my quack." And so her rolling down her window saying whatever it is she said, "so afraid," means she violated the order. Well, he seems to disagree with that. Says, it appears that George was standing at her property line videoing LIEnette to solicit a response. That sentence in itself is completely incorrect. If I would have solicited a response, don't you think I would have said something like, roll your window down, or said something to her? I said nothing to her. All I did was film. And again, I filmed for my own protection. And I made it clear to him when I called and filed the report, because one of the neighbors saw John shooting at a vehicle that looks just like mine while we were up in Ohio. So the report goes on to say, any reasonable person who is in fear of a subject would not stand at the subject's driveway and video that subject. First of all, I wasn't standing at her driveway. I was on Tubetown on my property behind the gate. So if you know anything of Tubetown, there's a gate, and I was standing right behind the gate. And there were two witnesses, Deanna and Mayor Travis, which he didn't even include in the report. It says LIEnette left her own property and at no point deviated her route to make contact with George. No further action taken. The video was uploaded into files for patrol. Case cleared, unfounded. So now I have a call. I've spoken to the lead detective to explain to him, hey, Ohio found them guilty of all the incidents that you guys dismissed. I want you guys to take this serious as well. And he has a copy of their guilty verdict, and he knows that they were charged, and so this needs to be taken serious. So now I'm waiting for Lieutenant Anderson to give me a call back so that he could rewrite this report, because this report is not right.
So yet another incident of tremendous liability within the Levy County Sheriff. Sergeant Dean, who says and should have gotten the other side of the story from LIEnette, nowhere in the report.
He did email me and tell me he was going to contact LIEnette, and he never did.
Okay. Sergeant Dean, who actually has the video, literally places in his report that LIEnette rolls her window down and says something. As George already said, no contact means no contact. Any reasonable person is going to record every time a stalker is anywhere near them. Any reasonable person is going to do that for their own protection, for their own accountability. No reasonable person is going to run away and allow these individuals to continue to terrorize our lives. This fool, and yes, Sergeant Dean is a fool, and I hope a new sheriff gets in that county sheriff department, and I hope he cleans house from these individuals who refuse to do their job and who continue to increase liability within that sheriff office. There's no doubt this is corruption. There's no doubt they don't care. There's no doubt the bigotry, whether it be George's Arabic, whether it be Jeremy and George are from the north, and how dare they come down here into Levy County. We don't do things that way around here. I don't know how you do them where you're from, but around here. Oh my goodness, I'm so sick and tired of hearing that. I don't know what are they doing where you're from around here. I don't really care where you're from, how you do it where you're from, or round here, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. You respect each individual. You take your job serious. You take an oath to serve and protect, and therefore you do it the right way. So let's take a look at Sergeant Dean. All right, Sergeant Dean is finally called out. Sergeant Dean gets the report. Sergeant Dean doesn't even open the case. Sergeant Dean closes the case before there ever is a case. Now, here's the interesting thing. We have more information and more evidence that Sergeant Dean doesn't. Because LIEnette's groupies, LIEnette's followers, LIEnette's turtle soup drinkers aren't all her followers and friends. As a matter of fact, many of them are sharing all this information just like Don the Con is. We have from her own writing that she rolled the window down. Now, why would you roll a window down if not to say something? Not only that, Sergeant Dean even puts in his report, yes, something was said.
She's taunting me.
Now, ultimately, what's going to happen to Sergeant Dean? Ultimately, what's going to happen to the Levy County Sheriff Department, who still isn't taking this seriously, as the Ohio courts are finding them guilty and the Levy County Sheriff Department is doing absolutely nothing? Let's take a look at that text that LIEnette sent one of her supporters. Take a peek, not a week. So here we go again, self-incriminating. OMG, but it doesn't say OMG. It says, oh my, I have my own video. It says you can faintly hear LIEnette. LIEnette is now talking about the report from Sergeant Dean. It says you can faintly hear LIEnette say something. I had a passenger. I was recording. I said to my, what's that say? I said to my, I just lost it. I'll bring it back. I said to, this is going to be a tough one. I said to my passenger, again, admitting communication and now claiming that she's the victim and that she didn't communicate with George. She had her window down on purpose. She communicated with George on purpose. She violated the civil protection order on purpose.
There was no passenger.
Yet again. There's video. There is no passenger. The list can go on and on about all of these lies. And I find it extremely concerning that we have sergeants, that we have lieutenants, that we have deputies that don't take any of this seriously in Levy County. Now, I realize now that Levy County is filled with corruption. We didn't know that when we went there. We just wanted peace and quiet, and we've gotten anything but. Let's take a look at that video, except I'm going to slow it down, and you're going to see that LIEnette takes the window down of the passenger side. And if you listen, you will hear her say, so afraid, and you will see there's no passenger. This is a direct violation of the civil protection order again that Levy County Sheriff is doing nothing about.
In the bottom.
She said, so afraid.
One has to ask, is her passenger her other personality? Because we know it's not John, because George took this video immediately after that incident.
It's like this really old, like it says Liberty Soft Drink Company or something on
Can you
it.
see it? Oh, I don't know if you can see it.
Remember when LIEnette told Levy County sheriffs that she doesn't leave her property? Pretty sure in that clip she left her property. I think Sergeant Dean needs to be educated. One, he should have never taken the report. It should have all been given to Lieutenant Anderson, because I get that he's busy and he's swamped, but he should have never taken the report. Two, he needs to be educated on what no contact means. No contact means no contact, regardless what she says. Did he even take the time to listen to what she said, or to turn up the volume, or to put earbuds, or to put it on a TV to hear what she says? No, he didn't. I don't think that he took it serious, especially given the fact that Ohio found them guilty of breaking the protection order by making contact with us in the past. John towards me by saying stop filming me, and John towards Jeremy when he says suck his quack.
I didn't know that you could actually train somebody that no contact means no contact. I thought that was common sense, even especially for sergeants.
Any reasonable sergeant / deputy would know that no contact means no contact, and that dude needs to be educated.
When further questioned by LIEnette's friend, she goes on to say, this is LIEnette's words, "Oh wow, I'm under a gag order from the judge." No, the only person that a gag order has been put on is me from Craig DeBiasis Thomasis. This is so ridiculous. I'm under a gag order from the judge. LIEnette's words. And it clearly speaks for itself. She's talking about the report that Sergeant Dean made. I told you my answers. I'm sorry you don't believe me. Call the sheriff, ma'am, if you feel they are liars, not us. Okay, it goes on. And this is pretty interesting in itself. There's so much. By the way, we have over a year's worth of text messages. Okay, this is the best part right here. Okay, she goes on to say, I'm not giving you that video because this person asked for LIEnette's version of the video. LIEnette goes on to say, I'm not giving you that video. The sheriff, Wilk, This is not a joke. She literally typed Wilk. The sheriff, Wilk. Is that something like milk, but it's Wilk? The sheriff will have it, and my attorneys have it. Oh, so LIEnette is now claiming that she recorded when she's communicating. That's perfect. We hope the attorneys have it. We 100%, because now
it'll prove.
Now in Ohio court, when she's going to be prosecuted for breaking the civil protection order again, and we have in writing that she has this video and she doesn't produce it, she will then be found guilty of more things. Yes, please let the attorneys have it. Please. Please. I can't say this enough. These fools incriminate themselves over and over and over. And then she goes on to say, it is being used in court. You better believe it's going to be used in court. The same way LIEnette incriminated herself and Crook in court and got guilty charges and got civil protection orders. And the list will go on and on. This is LIEnette's words. It will be used in court, so you'll have to wait like everyone else. We'll see about that. Funny you believe them, hands down, but I'm instantly the liar. Yet this paperwork clearly sticks up for me. See the bottom there? Sergeant Dean. Should he be a sergeant? Should he be a part of the sheriff's? Should he even be in law enforcement altogether if he can't do his job correctly? There is a civil protection order that clearly states no contact. When contact is made, that is a violation. She should have been arrested immediately. And what did he do? He went, nope, case closed. Wrong. Case is open now on Sergeant Dean.
Here's the email communication that I have with Sergeant Dean, asking him. I said, here, the subject was video of L. Preston dated 5/30/24. I said, violating the protection order by communicating with me, taunting me by saying so afraid after rolling down her window. Question, will you be contacting LIEnette Preston? Also, we'll need a case number for this incident, plus another way to get the video to you. The file is too large to attach. He responds back to me within 30 minutes, says you can text the video to, he provides me with his work phone number, says your case number is, gives me the case number, and says, yes, I will be contacting Miss Preston.
Let me see on your phone.
Nowhere in the incident report did he even contact her to get her side of the story or to even get her video evidence, proving that she made contact by saying so afraid.
But frankly, this is the least of LIEnette and Crook's worries right now, because federal court is still on. And so is civil court in Florida in Levy County, where we have put in a writ of prohibition to remove Judge Craig DeThomasis. And then LIEnette was given 20 days to give any legal standing why we shouldn't. Judge DeThomasis was shut up. He was told to shut up, literally, by the higher court. And then Silver Scam files his, would you even call it a document of evidence, of proof of legal standing? He says, number one, Jeremy waited way too long. And number two, he gives case law in the Aereo case. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but don't worry. He didn't even cite it right. He will be eating his words. We just responded, and we're going to show that to you next.